Hello guys, this is Dark Fox Sage 2 and we are back with our new fanfic, which is What If Naruto Got Banished from Village with Fem Sasuke Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to upload more fanfic like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfiction. The Hokage looked at Team 7 Sakura with a confused expression. What is it? The old Hokage asked. Satsuki, you can put it down, Kakashi said while looking at her. Satsuki nodded and put the illusion down. Sarutobi Hiruzen was frozen with shock at what he was seeing. He had seen many things over the years, from Jiraiya getting beat up by women for peeking in the women hot spring to Kushina and Makoto beating up Jiraiya, which was not a pretty sight. Hell, he even saw Uchiha's laugh excluding Obito. He was never normal. But never had he ever seen an Uchiha deciding to use his surrogate grandson's perverted jutsu. Sad to say, the god of shinobi fainted. Hokage-sama. Gigi. It took the Hokage 30 minutes to wake up. Sasuke, please put the henge down so we can talk. Hiruzen said. Gigi, that's not a henge. That's Sasuke's real gender, or Satsuki. Naruto said. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked. What he means is that Sasuke was just a henge and that Sasuke was actually a girl named Satsuki. Kakashi said. That's impossible. All medical records state that Sasuke is a boy. Hiruzen yelled. I never actually went to hospital for medical checkups. I used one of my deceased cousin's records, changed the name and dates of birth and date of updates. The nurses really didn't care because they were distracted with the whole last Uchiha topic and gave me pity. Satsuki said. I have people to fire. Hiruzen thought. Okay, that tells me how you got past medical records. What about the genjutsu? How'd you get past the Hyuga Byakugan? Hiruzen said. What do you mean? Hyugas never used their Byakugan on me. Each time they looked at me, they gave me a scowl and looked away. Satsuki said, rolling her eyes. Hyugas have really gotten arrogant. Hiruzen, Kakashi and Naruto thought. Alright, so what do you want me to do? And if you kept it a secret for this long, why tell me? You know I would have to tell this to the council. Hiruzen said. Well, Hokage-sama, we were hoping you wouldn't tell the council, and also if there were some way she could be herself. Kakashi said. Yeah, I don't want to keep acting like I have a stick up my ass. And I want all the fangirls to leave me alone. Satsuki said. I could, but then there will be a large panic and that would cause a riot in Konoha. And I don't think anyone wants that. Hiruzen said. Satsuki was depressed. Is there anything you can do? Satsuki asked, depressed. Well, I can think of one thing. You become a Chunin, and then I give you an A-rank mission where I can say Sasuke died or betrayed Konoha. And then wait a few months and you can come back as your female self, but then you would have to give up the Uchiha name. Hiruzen explained his plan. Gigi, why can't she just reveal herself? She is your ninja and is currently the head of the Uchiha clan. So the civilians have no say in this matter. Naruto said with a, "Are you senile?" expression. Yes, Naruto-kun, that may be so, but that would still cause panic in Konoha. Hiruzen explained to the blonde Jinchuriki. So what? Just do what any cage would do to a civilian, kill them, or better yet send them to this Ibiki dude that I keep hearing about. Naruto said, bored expression while missing the horror expression from both Kage and Sensei with the mention of Ibiki. Everyone is shocked at what Naruto said. Satsuki, however, thought about it. Isn't Banshee girl from a civilian family? Satsuki thought with a evil grin plastered on her face. Naruto-kun, do why you know what you just said? Hiruzen shouted. Naruto looked at him with the same bored expression he had before and nodded. Yeah, civilians have no business in shinobi matters. They think being shinobi is easy while they complain about how hard their life is. Besides, they should have all died for gossiping about an S-rank secret. Naruto said with a passive expression. Kakashi agreed with Naruto, but then stopped and realized something. When did Naruto become so dark? In the academy he was an idiot. Now he's acting like Kushina-sama when she saw Sensei with Ika Ika. Kakashi thought. Naruto, as much as I agree with you, I don't want Konoha to be another Kurigakure. But how about this? After Satsuki-chan becomes Chunin, she can reveal herself. Hiruzen said. Fine, you just have to take the fun out of everything, don't you, Gigi? Naruto said. Hiruzen signed. Anyway, for the time being, Satsuki-chan, you will have to keep your disguise on longer. Hiruzen said. Satsuki nodded sadly. Yes, Hokage-sama, Satsuki said with her head down. However, I will upgrade your genjutsu so that not even the Byakugan can see it. Hiruzen said. Satsuki was grateful. Naruto, Kakashi, I would like you two to go home and rest. Kakashi, I want a written report on the mission, but cut out the part about Satsuki and you know what chakra. Do I make myself clear? Hiruzen said in a Hokage manner. Hi Hokage-sama. Kakashi saluted and disappeared in a shunshin. Naruto left through the window. Hiruzen looked at Satsuki. Well then, shall we get you a new genjutsu? Hiruzen said, and Satsuki gave a smile. Uchiha compound. 4 hours later, nighttime. Satsuki came home after finally getting her new genjutsu. The genjutsu was better than before cause the Byakugan won't be able to detect it. And even Kurenai Yuhi, the genjutsu mistress, would have a hard time breaking it. She was happy, but she forgot to mention about arranging a marriage contract between her and Naruto. She was depressed about that. She undid the genjutsu, returning to her original gender. She flopped on her bed while giving out a heavy sign. I wonder what Naruto-kun is doing. I bet he's thinking of different ways to kill Sakura. Satsuki giggled. In a busted-up apartment. Achoo. Naruto sneezed. He wiped the snot off and looked out his window. Someone figured out my plans to kill the Banshee. Damn, I hope they don't report me. Naruto said out loud. That's why you should have killed her during your mission in Wave. Kyuubi said. Is it because she cut you off while you were talking? Naruto asked the vixen. Of course. Who does that bitch think she is to interfere when the Kyuubi no Kitsune was talking? Kyuubi yelled. Sheesh, stop with the shouting, it's giving me a headache. Besides, I can't kill her. All the blame would go to me. Her mother is my #1 hater. Naruto said. Screw those whore bitches. Kyuubi said. I'd rather not. Banshee screeches might be contagious. Naruto said, and Kyuubi agreed while laughing. Back with Satsuki. Damn, why couldn't we kill Sakura? She's so useless and doesn't do anything. Not even in D-rank missions. I wonder if I complain, would they kick her off the team? Satsuki said, then realization came. A team with only me and Naruto-kun. Satsuki thought. She jumped up from her bed. First thing tomorrow I'm going to complain to Hokage-sama. Satsuki shouted. Satsuki took out a piece of paper and started writing a list of things that Sakura never did or failed to do in an essay as to why she should be kicked off the team. Satsuki had just finished writing 20 pages of her self-assigned assignment. She then looked at the clock. It was 11:30 p.m. Whoa, it's this late, gotta rest for tomorrow's training. Satsuki said as she got to her drawer and took out her orange panties and bra with red swirl on the center each. She got her bathrobe and towel and went to take a shower. When she got in, she hung all her clothes. She started the water and turned the water to warm. While she was showering, her thoughts went to the blonde Jinchuriki and dropping the soap that was in her hand. Lemon really sucks. Satsuki was taking a shower and was too much in thought to notice that someone had opened the door to get in the shower. The person that entered took off his clothes and went behind Satsuki so that she wouldn't notice him. He used his right hand and covered Satsuki's mouth so that she wouldn't scream or bite her tongue off. Satsuki panicked until she heard the voice of the intruder. I still can't believe that you hid your gender from for so long, Satsuki-chan. The person said. Naruto. Satsuki saw the intruder. MNMAMRMUMTMO. Satsuki could only say due to her mouth being covered. The now identified Naruto snaked his left hand to Satsuki's breasts and gave them a squeeze. Satsuki was moaning from the feeling of her breasts being massaged. Satsuki moaned. While messaging her breast, Naruto also pinched her excited nipples. Satsuki moaned as she was in heaven. When I let go of my hand, you better not scream. Naruto said, waiting for Satsuki to nod, which she did. Naruto let go and pushed against the wall of the bathroom. Naruto then put both his hands on her breasts and massaged them, earning him multiple moans from Satsuki. Naruto W, what are why you doing here? Not that I'm not happy, that moan. Satsuki was trying to say before Naruto squeezed her nipples harder, making her moan. I came here to punish you for hiding your gender. Naruto said as he moved his hand to her nether region slowly. Satsuki was still moaning. Naruto's left hand reached her nether region and was pleasuring her to the point. Lemon end. She was broken out of her thoughts as she slipped on the soap that she dropped. Ow. Satsuki moaned in pain. She then picked up the soap and glared at it. Damn it, soap, why did you ruin my fantasies? Satsuki said angrily. Soap sweat drops. Once Satsuki had finished showering and drying herself off, she turned off the water, got ready, and made herself instant ramen for dinner. Once she finished her ramen, she turned all the lights off and dropped on her bed due to exhaustion. She was praying to whatever god that was watching over her to give her a dream about her and Naruto. But instead got a nightmare about Naruto and Hinata. She of course woke up screaming, repeating that it was a dream. She looked at her clock and realized that it was 6 a.m., 1 hour early before having to go to team meeting. She wanted to go back to sleep, but she didn't want to have the nightmare about Naruto and Hinata again. So she decided that she would make lunch for her and Naruto. She was planning to have Naruto feed her or the other way around. She started making bentos and was humming a happy tune her deceased mother always hummed. 7 a.m. Satsuki was walking down the street carrying a plastic bag with a happy aura surrounding her. All the villagers looked at her male form and had only one thought. He got laid. Satsuki was ignored all the stares that she was receiving. Because all she cared about was giving Naruto the bento she made. She wanted to go to the training ground and meet Naruto, knowing that he would come early. And as she went into the training ground, her previous statement was correct. Naruto was there and was already doing some training. She saw 10 Narutos doing tree climbing exercise, and approximately 35 Narutos fighting one Naruto. What she saw next amazed her. Naruto had moved really fast, so fast that she couldn't keep up with him without turning on her Sharingan, which activated unconsciously. In a matter 10 seconds, 35 clones went up in smokes. Satsuki was in awe at his speed. If he trains hard enough, he'll be Hokage in no time. Satsuki thought. Satsuki was about to call him but was blocked by none other than their annoying teammate Sakura. Sasuke-kun, how are you doing? Sakura screamed. Satsuki swore she lost her hearing. Damn this bitch. I think I'm deaf. Damn, I don't want to be a mother that's deaf. Satsuki thought. HN. Satsuki sounded and was going to Naruto to give the bento she made but was stopped yet again by Sakura. Sasuke-kun, did you make bento for me and you? I'm so happy. Sakura screamed happily. Satsuki glared at Sakura. Tech. This isn't for you. This is for Naruto K. Naruto. Satsuki said, catching herself from saying kun in the end of Naruto's name. Sakura had a look of horror. What? Why? I'm your girlfriend. And why that baka, he didn't do anything to deserve the bento you made. Sakura shouted. What did this bitch say? I don't roll that way. And did she say about Naruto-kun not deserving the bento I made? Satsuki mentally shouted. Listen here, Haruno, Naruto deserves this bento and much more for what he did on the mission. He saved our lives and he beat Haku, something not even Kakashi could do easily. So shut up. Satsuki shouted at the scared Sakura. Naruto by this time stopped what he was doing to look at the commotion. This earned him a kick in the face from a clone. Naruto was on the ground holding his jaws. Ow. Can't you see I was distracted? Naruto shouted. Sorry boss. The clone that kicked Naruto said. Tech whatever. Naruto said as he dispelled all the clones that he created, which gave him a headache which was gone as fast it came. Naruto then dusted himself off and went towards the girls. What are you shouting about now? Naruto said, pissed that someone disturbed his training. Satsuki looked at Naruto's eyes and knew that he was angry and was shaking. Sakura on the other hand was being a retard and talked back. That's none of you business what happens between me and my Sasuke-kun. Sakura shouted. Satsuki glared at Sakura. Well then, can you keep it down? Some of us are trying to become ninjas and not pretend. Naruto said, the turn to see that Satsuki was staring at him and her face was red. And what's wrong with you, Tem? Why are you staring at me for? Naruto asked. Satsuki knew this was her chance to give him the bento. This eye is for you. I made it this morning. Satsuki stuttered. Naruto would have been creeped out if he didn't know that the boy in front of him was a girl under a genjutsu. Naruto was about to refuse but was stopped when Kyuubi spoke. Kid, take the bento. Kyuubi shouted. Why? It's probably a prank. Naruto said back to Kyuubi. Kid, think back to the wave mission. Did she seem like she could even do that? She was stuttering way too much and she's doing the same right now. Besides, you haven't eaten anything since you woke up. Kyuubi stated. Naruto signed and had to agree since he was hungry, especially after his warm-ups. Fine, hand it over. Naruto said. Satsuki wanted to yell to the world but she stopped because she was Sasuke. Hemp here. Satsuki said in a Sasuke manner. Naruto took it and went to the nearest tree and sat down and opened the bento and started eating. Satsuki wanted to go and feed him but Sakura ruined that plan by coming here. So Satsuki went and sat beside Naruto and opened up her own bento and started to eat. Sakura followed Satsuki and sat beside her. She saw Satsuki use her chopstick to grab a squid. Sakura closed her eyes and opened her mouth thinking that her Sasuke-kun would feed her, but after a few minutes when nothing went inside her mouth she opened her eyes only to realize that Sasuke finished his bento. She was on all four of her limbs and had a depressed aura. Satsuki looked at her and glared. You think I would feed you after ruining my time with Naruto and not being able to fulfill one of my desires? Screw you, howler monkey. Satsuki shouted mentally. Naruto was about to start his exercises again since he finished his food that Satsuki gave him, which he was thankful for. I hate to admit it, but that was good. Naruto thought. Sure was. I'm just glad you took a break from eating ramen. Kyuubi said. Well, whose fault is that? Naruto said back to Kyuubi with a glare. But before Kyuubi could make a comeback, Kakashi came in a swirl of leaves. Yo. Kakashi I smiled. When he opened his eyes he saw shocked looks from all his students. What's wrong? Kakashi asked. Why, you're on time. Naruto shouted. Kakashi looked at the sky and faced Naruto and I smiled again. Yes, I am. Kakashi said. Why? You're usually late. Satsuki shouted. Well, we will be having a training session with Team 8. And Kurenai threatened that she would rip up my precious Ika. Kakashi said, holding his book close to him. That's why. Were the thoughts of the three genin. Naruto looked at the Ika in Kakashi's hand. Nay, Kakashi-sensei, can I read that? Naruto asked, curious. What? Baka, do you even know what that book is? You can't read that. Sakura shouted as she hit Naruto on the head. That bitch. Satsuki thought. Why? Naruto asks. Because they are perverted. Sakura stated. So what, I read those before. Naruto said as he pulled out two Ika. Kakashi and Satsuki were wide eyes. Naruto-kun reads those. Satsuki thought in excitement. Those editions. Kakashi thought shocked. And Naruto, those editions are, where'd you get them? Kakashi was stuttering. Oh, you mean Ika Charisma's Carols and Ika Valentine Heartbreak? Yeah, I found them in front of my door on my 10th and 11th birthday with frog postcards saying happy birthday. Naruto said. See, can I read them? Kakashi asked, hopeful and stars surrounding him. Naruto was in a thinking position. Sure, if you let me read some of yours. Naruto said. Kakashi nodded as he runs through the gates of the training ground, forgetting that he could just shush in there. 10 minutes passed while Team 7 was waiting for their sensei, but he didn't show up yet. Why did he leave? Sakura screeched. Naruto was about to punch her lights out and so did Satsuki, but were stopped when they heard another voice. Hey Deadlast. A canine-looking boy shouted. When Team 7 turned their heads they were greeted by Team 8. What do you want, mutt? Naruto said in a dangerous voice. You bastard. The canine boy shouted. Kiba-kun, I think why you see calm down. A girl with white pupils said while blushing and hitting her index fingers together. Fine. Only cause you asked, Hinata-chan. The now known as Kiba huffed. Hinata nodded and said a soft thanks and looked at Naruto and blushed ready to faint. Naruto saw this and looked ready to explode. Great. She's looking at me. What's the point of even looking at me if she's going to faint when I say one letter? Naruto thought. Let's not forget having a nosebleed when she steals your underwear. Kyuubi said. Yeah, that too. I was almost accused of murder and was almost put in jail. If it wasn't for that Neko masked Anbu I would have. Naruto said to Kyuubi. That's why we should do something to her. But what? Kyuubi thought as she got a perverted grin on her face. Not happening. Naruto thought as he read what was on Kyuubi's mind. What? Kyuubi asked. I know you're thinking about me raping her. Which I doubt it would be considered rape. Naruto said back to Kyuubi. I was just thinking of using the Uchiha and having the Hyuga have a cat fight over you. Kyuubi said. Naruto gave a confused look. While the chat between Naruto and Kyuubi was happening, Satsuki had other thoughts. This bitch is looking at my Naruto-kun. I will kill her. Satsuki thought with a burning passion. Now what do I do? Satsuki thought as she was glaring at Hinata, who was having memory flashes of being tied up and hung in the classroom. Sakura only had one thought. Hinata better stay away from my Sasuke-kun. Sakura thought. Kurenai, the sensei for Team 8, was feeling the tension between her student Hinata and Team 7 tried to break it. Nay, where is Kakashi? I thought I told him to be early. Kurenai said, getting a lighter from her pouch. He was here but he left 10 minutes ago. I can't believe he did that. Sakura screeched and Kiba had to cover his ears due to his sensitive hearing. Wait, he was actually on time? Kurenai asked, shocked. Team 7 nodded. Kurenai thought that the world was ending as she was looking at Team 7 and see if they were lying to protect their sensei. Yeah, shocked us. I thought the world was ending or something. Naruto said. Kurenai looked shocked and was standing still until she was broken out of it when Kakashi came through the gate of the training ground. Here Naruto, I brought my special Ika. So can we trade? Kakashi said in between breaths. Team 7 was shocked that he ran to his house to get his Ika to trade with Naruto. What the hell? Team 7 thought. Kakashi, why did you leave your team to get more Ika, and not only that you corrupted Naruto in your perverted ways? Kurenai yelled. But Naruto went to Kakashi and looked at the books. I'll take the Ika Hot Spring Break and Ika Kunoichi Secrets. Naruto said as he took the books he wanted and gave the ones that Kakashi wanted, which shocked everyone in Team 8. Naruto reads those. Were Kurenai and Kiba's thoughts. And Naruto K-kun, Hinata thought as she blushes a deep red. Buzz, Naruto, Buzz, has, Buzz, joined, Buzz. The club. Shino thought as he grinned, which could not be seen due to his coat. Yes. I have 2 rare Ika books. Kakashi shouted as he started reading Christmas carols. Everyone's sweat dropped. Alright, enough goofing around, let's start training. I already wasted 50 minutes of training. Naruto said after he put his newly acquired books away in his pouch. Everyone nodded. Alright, first we will do some jogging around the training ground and later after a short break we will do some light sparring. Kakashi said, his eyes not leaving his new book. Everyone nodded as they started their jog. Naruto being ahead of everyone while Satsuki following behind Naruto. Kiba desperately trying to catch up. Followed by Shino and Hinata and lastly Sakura far behind everyone. After 2 hours everyone was breathing heavily except Naruto. What's wrong with them? Naruto thought. Not everyone has god-like stamina like you, Kit. Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded his head at that. After 10 minutes of break they were lined up. Naruto was between Satsuki and Hinata, who was about faint. Alright, so your sparring partners are going to be, but Kurenai was interrupted by Kiba. Sensei, I want to fight Dope. Kiba shouted. Not interested. I'd rather fight Shino. Naruto said, wanting to test himself fighting someone who can suck his chakra. Shino looked at Naruto and was honored. He wanted to fight someone who practically had unlimited stamina. And someone who had a large chakra pool. What, you scared to face me? Kiba taunted. Naruto signed as he took a kunai from his pouch in a speed that rivaled a Junin and pointed the kunai at Kiba's throat. I'd rather fight someone who is calm and cool rather than a loud idiot like you. Naruto said in a dark voice which sent shivers down Kiba's spine. Satsuki had hearts in her eyes. Which freaked out Kurenai. Alright, the partners will be like this. Naruto vs. Shino, Sasuke vs. Kiba, and Sakura vs. Hinata. Kurenai said. I want fight Hinata. Satsuki said. What? Kurenai said. I want to fight Hinata and not Dog Boy here. Satsuki said in a Sasuke manner. Why? Kurenai asked as Hinata suddenly felt more fear than she should have and more memory flashes of the time she was tied in the Ninja Academy class. It's an Uchiha and Hyuga thing. Every time an Uchiha has a chance to fight a Hyuga, they take it. And vice versa with the Hyugas. You could say it's a clan tradition for the members to go to adulthood. Satsuki said, lying. I just want to beat her up for looking at my Naruto-kun. Satsuki thought. Well, it's kinda true. When the Uchihas were still alive, both the Uchiha and Hyuga did battle a lot. Kakashi said, remembering the bad old days when he was chased by the Uchiha police forces and Hyuga guard forces. And them making a game about who can get the book out of his hands. Oh, okay, it will be Naruto vs. Shino, Sakura vs. Kiba, and Sasuke vs. Hinata. Kurenai said. First will be Naruto and Shino. Kurenai said. Naruto and Shino were both in a fighting stance. I'm not going to hold back Shino. Naruto said, smirking. I wouldn't have it any other way. Shino said emotionlessly, but if you concentrated you could hear the excitement in his voice. Hajime. Kurenai shouted. Naruto moved in front of Shino and punched him, but instead punched a bunch of bugs. Damn bug clone. Naruto thought as he started feeling some of his chakra being drained. Naruto then flared his chakra with a little bit of Kyuubi's chakra, killing all the bugs that were attached on him. Shino appeared far behind Naruto and released more bugs. Naruto switched places with a log that was beside Shino. Naruto took that chance and low-kicked Shino, making him fall backwards. Naruto then used his elbow and hit Shino in the chest. Lucky for Shino, he was able to gather a swarm of bugs at the targeted area and able to lessen the blow. Shino got up and created a barrier of bugs. Naruto knew that the moment he entered his chakra would be drained, so Naruto covered himself with chakra with a tiny bit of Kyuubi's chakra and jumped through the barrier. The bugs that were in his way died, and Naruto then placed his left fist in front of Shino's head and right fist in Shino's chest. He used chakra to cover them and press them on Shino's body, making Shino fly back and hit a tree. The audience were shocked except Kakashi and Satsuki. Kakashi was too busy reading. And Satsuki was mentally cheering. That's my Naruto-kun. Satsuki thought. How did the dead last beat Shino, who was second to Sasuke? Were Kurenai, Kiba and Sakura's thoughts. Hinata on the other hand wanted to be happy for him, but she thought that would be bad because her teammate lost to Naruto. What should I do? Hinata thought. Alright, next. Kiba and Sakura. Kakashi said, not really surprised, especially considering what he saw in Wave. That's nothing. Naruto was going easy on him. If he was serious we would have bugs for dinner. Kakashi thought. Kiba and Sakura got in a fight stance. I'll beat you and prove I'm worthy of being with. Sakura was interrupted. Start fucking fight. Naruto shouted. Hajime. Kurenai said. And Sakura was down with one punch from Kiba. Alright, next is Sasuke and Hinata. Kakashi said, catching himself from calling Sasuke's real name. Satsuki and Hinata were in a fighting stance. Satsuki's stance showed confidence and power while Hinata was shaking and showed lots of opening. Hajime. Kurenai shouted. Both of them activated their Dujutsu. Satsuki activated her Sharingan and Hinata activated her Byakugan. Satsuki ran for a straight attack because she was confident and knew she would be able to dodge Hinata's attack because of her Sharingan. Satsuki saw that Hinata was going to attack from the left and knew that Hinata was aiming for her Tenketsu. Satsuki blocked Hinata with her right hand and used her left hand to hold Hinata's right hand and pushed chakra to her right leg and kicked Hinata in the stomach. Hinata was sent flying back and was stopped by the tree that was behind her. Satsuki was about to go after her but was stopped by Kurenai saying that she was the winner. Satsuki huffed and went to stand beside Naruto. Alright Team 7, that was good. Well, except Sakura, you could have done better. Kakashi said. Team 8, you are going to need more practice. That's why we won't be doing any missions for a while. Kurenai said. When Team 8 left, Kakashi turned to his team and put his book down. Alright, let's go do some missions. Kakashi I smiled and Team 7 nodded as they all started to walk together to the Hokage Tower. On the way, Satsuki noticed that the people around them were glaring at Naruto, while Naruto was sending some ki to them and making them tremble. When they arrived at the Hokage's office, they were greeted by the old Hokage and a man with glasses who was wearing a light blue robe with dark blue sleeves, and a dragon design on the front of the robes and the ends of the sleeves. Team 7, what are you doing here? The aged Hokage asked. Team 7 requesting for a mission. Kakashi said. Oh, I don't have any D ranks, but how would you like to take a C rank? I know you just got back from your previous mission just yesterday, but this, Hokage was interrupted. We'll take it, Naruto said. Naruto, you don't even, Sakura began to say, but Satsuki interrupted her. I agree with Naruto, Satsuki said. Sakura agreed right after Satsuki agreed. Kakashi signed. What is the mission, Hokage-sama? The mission is to help find Kaoru Uzora. The man said. Oh, Uzora, Sakura shouted and Team 7 looked at her. What's wrong with you, howler monkey? Naruto asked. Baka, you don't know the Uzora family. They are one of the 10 richest families in the elemental nations. They could probably buy Konoha if it wasn't for Hokage-sama threatening them that it was his village. Sakura said. Oh, so a civilian family that has its head under their asses. I see, Naruto said. Baka shows some respect, Sakura said, hitting Naruto on the head. The man chuckled. It's okay. I know that the Uzora family isn't well liked, especially after what we have done in the past years. The man said. Who are you? Satsuki asked. I am your client and the personal butler of Kaoru Uzora, Toru Nakashi. The butler bowed. You're a useless butler, aren't you? Losing your master, Naruto said as he puts his head behind his back. Toru steps back at the insult and goes down on all four in the corner depressed. It's not my fault Uzora-sama doesn't want to get married to Shizuka-sama, Toru said in the corner. He ran away because he didn't want to get married. Naruto deadpanned. Toru nodded. He usually does this. Runs away from home and disappears for a week or less, but never for 11 days. And the wedding is in 2 weeks. Toru shouted, depressed. That is why you will need to escort Toru-san and help him find the heir to the Uzora family before the wedding, Sandame said. Where was he last seen? Kakashi asked. He disappeared when we stopped to get some fresh water. When all the servants came back, the guards that were guarding him were knocked out. I left them to come here and ask for help. Please help me find him because I don't want to suffer Shizuka-sama's wrath for losing her fiancé or Kaoru-sama's parents' wrath. Last time was bad enough, Toru shouted with tears. And do not fail this mission. If you do, Konoha will lose face with other villages. Understand? Hokage said. Oh, alright, let's get this bastard's rich ass and drag him to his wedding, Naruto said. Toru hipped up when Naruto said this. I'm an Uchiha, I never fail a mission, Satsuki said with Sasuke's smirk. Sakura just acted like a fangirl. By the way, is there anything we should know about this guy? I mean he has to have at least some training to knock out trained guards for a civilian. Naruto said cautiously. Yes, Uzora-sama was trained by one of the best samurai from Iron Village. He is skilled enough to be ranked Chunin on the ninja rooster. Toru said. Okay, let's go. Naruto shouted as he fist bumped the air. And Satsuki copying what he did. This can't be happening to me. Not again. Naruto yelled out, startling everything around him. Naruto-san, are you okay? Said a beautiful girl with long black hair, bangs in the front of her head. She had a beautiful face. And also had large breast cup size unknown for now because Naruto hasn't looked for more than a second. But he knew they were big. Type in Uzora Koaru on Google. Oh, and another thing, the girl was none other than the so-called prince of Uzora family, was wet. You could see right through her boyish clothing. Naruto was blushing. Why yeah, anyway get out of those clothes before you catch a cold. Naruto said looking away. The girl seemed to notice why Naruto was looking away, so she covered herself. I would, but I don't have any other clothing with me. I only have food. The girl said. Here. Naruto said, giving his orange jumpsuit jacket, leaving him in only his jumpsuit pants and a black t-shirt. The girl was surprised by the generous act of the ninja and nodded and took the jumpsuit and went behind the trees to change. When she was gone, Naruto was panicking. How is this happening? This was supposed to be a normal mission. Naruto was raging inside. Naruto then looked in the direction the girl went. How did she hide those breasts of hers? Naruto thought. Didn't that idiot of a butler say that she had training? Maybe she had some genjutsu training as well. Kyuubi said. Naruto nodded as he thought how was in this situation. Flashback. Team 7 and Toru came to the area where the prince had disappeared. There were guards being treated in a carriage. Naruto looked at the carriage and saw slices. Damn, that bastard must have had a really sharp sword to be able to do this to this type of metal. Naruto said. What the hell are you talking about, Baka? Of course anyone could do that. A ninja can cut any metal with a sword. Sakura yelled at Naruto. You're the idiot howler monkey. Did you forget the prince isn't a ninja, so he has no training in chakra? And what I mean is this metal is really hard. Unless you have a weapon induced with wind chakra, you're never going to be able to cut this. Naruto said as he took out a kunai and slashed it against the carriage to prove his point. The kunai broke. Sakura and Satsuki were wide-eyed. He's right. He would have had to have a really sharp sword and would have had to be a master in using a sword to do that. Kakashi said as he also examined the carriage. Well, Uzora-sama does have the family sword with him. Toru said. Yeah, whatever. You useless guards, which way did your spoiled prince go? Naruto said. Hey, don't insult our prince. The guard said. I'll call him what I want. After all, I'm doing your work here. If you want me to stop, then go find your spoiled prince yourself. Naruto said. The guard just growled. So cool. Satsuki thought. Baka, stop acting cool. Only Sasuke-kun is cool. Sakura Banshee screeched. Shut the hell up. Naruto yelled, releasing ki at Sakura. Sakura backed away. Kakashi ignored his student's squabbles as he did some hand signs. Kuchio's no jutsu. Kakashi yelled as smoke covered the area. When the smoke cleared, 7 dogs appeared, all sitting down. I gotta learn how to do that. Both Naruto and Satsuki thought simultaneously. Toru-san, do you have anything that belongs to the prince? Kakashi asked with an eye smile. Toru nodded, understanding what Kakashi was going to do, and went inside the carriage and got a shirt. Here, this is one of Uzora-sama's shirts. Toru said, handing Kakashi the shirt. Kakashi grabbed and faced the dogs again. Alright guys, smell this and look for the prince. And once you find him, bark as loud as you can. Kakashi said, and the dogs barked before smelling the shirt, and they were off. Now we just wait. Kakashi said as he continued to read his book. I'm going out there and looking for the Baka prince. Naruto said. Wah. Naruto, Baka, listen to sensei. Sakura yelled. The prince already had a head start. With the amount of time he had, he could have found a lake or something and washed the scent trail. Naruto said. Alright, but be back before dark. Kakashi said. Naruto nodded as he ran into the forest. Satsuki was about to follow after but was stopped by Kakashi. Sasuke, you and Sakura will help these gentlemen with fixing the carriage and healing the soldiers. After that you two will take turns on night shift. Kakashi said. Satsuki was glaring at the sensei while Sakura had hearts in her eyes. With Naruto. Naruto ran through the forest following the same scent as the shirt. People didn't know this, but Naruto had a strong sense of smell and he had Kyuubi to thank for that. At the beginning the smell led to a straight line, but Naruto stopped. How come the smell is in different directions? Naruto asked. The prince must have gone in different directions to throw off anyone that has a strong sense of smell. I have to say this guy is smart even if he's a spoiled prince. Kyuubi said. Whatever. Naruto said, but then froze and sniffed the area. There's a different scent here. Naruto said. Must be the dogs. Kyuubi said. No, this one smells like a girl's. She went this way. Naruto said as he goes northeast. Why are you following the vixen's smell? Shouldn't you be looking for the prince? Kyuubi said. Who gives a crap? If the prince dies, it's his fault, not mine. He chose to run knowing the consequences. But whoever this girl is, she may be in trouble. Naruto said. The direction brought him to a lake. When he heard splashes, he looked at the source of it. He saw nothing. Must have been a tree branch that fell in the water. Naruto thought. Then he felt something sharp on his cheeks. Who are you? Someone said. Naruto didn't answer. I said, who are you? The person said. Isn't it common courtesy to say your name before asking people for theirs? Naruto said. I am Uzora Kaoru. Now tell me yours. The now known as Kaoru said. Uzora Kaoru. Naruto thought. So you're the Baka prince that ran away. Naruto said, smirking. Kaoru was irritated at being called Baka. Who are you? Kaoru yelled. You don't need to know. Naruto said, smirking as he got down and swiped his leg, making the prince fall down, in the process of making the prince drop his sword. Naruto was going to use his ninja wire and tie the prince up so that he couldn't escape, but he was slow because the prince got up just as fast as he fell down and tackled Naruto. They were rolling all the way to the lake. When they reached the edge of the lake, they were separated. Kaoru was the closest to the lake as Naruto was getting pissed. I'm going to make you drown. I'm pretty sure no one is going to miss a spoiled brat like you. Naruto yelled angry and tackled Kaoru, making both of them fall into the lake. Naruto was the first one to come out of the water. Where are you? You bastard. Naruto yelled with red eyes and slit in the middle. Stop calling me a bastard. Kaoru said behind Naruto, just coming out of the water soaked. Naruto turned around only to be met by the prince. The only difference was that he had breasts. Naruto's jaw was on the ground or water. Kaoru looked at the jaw-dropped Naruto and wondered what he was staring at. Until he looked down. Kya! Kaoru screamed in a cute manner. She said. Kya! Naruto said, gaping like a fish. Hentai, look away. Kaoru screamed. Hi! Naruto yelled and turned away. What the fuck is happening? First Tem turns out to be a girl and now the so-called prince is a girl too. Naruto mentally shouts. Calm down, Naruto. You have to keep calm. Just think about killing the Banshee and get your composure back. Naruto thought as he thinks of different ways to kill Sakura. Until he calmed down and went back to his normal personality. Let's get out of the river before we catch a cold and then set up a fire to dry our clothes. During the time you can tell me what the hell this is about. Naruto said in a neutral voice as he walked away, not staring at the so-called prince of the Uzora family. Kaoru followed. Flashback end. Which leads us back to this. I can't believe that you didn't know that the prince was a girl. Naruto raged inside. I did. But I just didn't want to tell you. And again, you never asked. Kyuubi said. Truthfully, I didn't know. But I don't need to tell him. Kyuubi silently thought. Well, how do you expect me to ask a question like that to every guy the first see? Naruto yelled out loud accidentally. Naruto-san, are you alright? Kaoru asked worriedly as she came out in Naruto's fair orange jumpsuit. Naruto turned around and blushed really red and his jaws dropped. She makes orange jumpsuits wearable. Kyuubi yelled. Hey. Naruto yelled in his mind. Does it look that weird? Kaoru asked. And no. It's just people, especially girls, make fun of me wearing the jumpsuit, so I thought you wouldn't want to wear it. Naruto said, stuttering. Well, I guess I'm not like other girls. Ever since I was child I always acted like a boy. So wearing something like this is no problem for me. Besides, it was my fault. I should have at least saved one extra clothing instead of giving them to wild animals. Kaoru said. Why did you give them to the animals? Naruto asked. Baka. Not everyone can do a shadow clone like you. The easiest way to hide your smell is give your clothing to the animals and make them run around in circles. Kyuubi said. On second thought, don't answer that, I understand. Naruto said, understanding what Kyuubi said. Kaoru looked at Naruto strangely. There was an awkward silence before Naruto decided to break it. So you were a tomboy, huh? Well, guess that explains a lot of things. Naruto said. What's that supposed to mean? Kaoru yelled in a girly manner. Naruto ignored it and asked another question. Well, this explains why you didn't want to marry that other girl. But why didn't you just tell your parents that you didn't roll that way in the first place? Then I wouldn't be here. You know what I could be doing now at home? I could be thinking of ways to kill my howler monkey teammate. Naruto yelled the last part. Kaoru was sweat dropping. The Uzora family has lost a lot of power and money. In order to gain those back, my parents wanted me to marry another rich family that had the same amount of influence my family had. Kaoru said. So this is just for you to get richer? Naruto asked. Kaoru nodded. This is why I hate aristocrats. You know what you could be doing with that money? You could have helped a lot of starving, orphan kids. Fuck. But no, all you assholes care about are yourselves. Ninjas die protecting selfish assholes like you. Naruto yelled, thinking about his childhood. You think I don't know that? But what can I do? My parents just see me as some political item they could groom and give away anytime. I wanted to live my life how I wanted. Kaoru yelled. Naruto wanted to counter but decided he was too pissed and he would have killed the prince, sis, by accident if it went any further. Tech, whatever. I'm going to make a fire now to dry our clothes. Help around and collect some wood. That is if you can get your snotty lazy rich ass to move. Naruto said as he left to do his job. Kaoru was glaring at Naruto. This guy is a bastard. Kaoru thought as she left to look for wood. After a few minutes, there, the fire is done. Go put your clothes on top of the fire to dry. Naruto said. And once they do, we'll be going back to the group. Naruto thought as he was looking at the sky. It was like 4 p.m. so he had enough time to go back to the group. Naruto was lying down on the ground with his eyes closed. Kaoru looked at Naruto with a hateful look. This guy must be the one that Toru hired to get me. I won't go back. But he won't leave me alone unless. Kaoru thought as she grabbed the kunai that was used to start the fire and was holding it over Naruto's throat. Her expression is the typical he needs to die. Once I kill him, then I'll be free. Kaoru thought. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Kaoru looked shocked. She looked around to see where the voice came from and saw that the one that she was about to kill was on the branch of a tree. That's a clone with explosives. The moment it gets stabbed or attacked, it will blow up with blast of 10 kilometers radius. Wah, Kaoru thought. Isn't your mission to protect me? Kaoru said. I'm a ninja. The only life I care about is my own. If killing you means I can live, then so be it. Naruto said in a bored tone while looking at the sky from the branch. That's a lie. A ninja's life is his or her mission. As long as the mission is completed, your life means nothing. Kaoru said. Naruto looked at Kaoru for a split second before jumping down to the ground and slowly walked towards to the princess. Kaoru held her ground. She wasn't afraid of the ninja, or so she thought, when he suddenly grabbed her by the neck and picked her up with no effort whatsoever. You say that shit to me again, I'll make sure you face hell. Don't compare me to those filth that think are satisfied by just saving others. I only save myself. I don't give two shits if the world burned down and people screaming for help. I'll just sit somewhere with a good view and watch it like a comedy show. You got it, princess, Naruto growled. Kaoru couldn't do anything as she was frozen by all the ki that were directed towards her. And another thing, you can do whatever the hell you want but never compare my life with yours. A princess like you that was pampered since birth would never understand a kid from the streets. Naruto said as he tossed Kaoru back. Once your clothes are dried, give my jumpsuit back. Naruto said as he dropped Kaoru to the ground. Kaoru landed on her butt and was breathing hard to get oxygen in her lungs. She looked at Naruto and remembering the look of hatred when he mentioned aristocrats, and then looked down in shame remembering what her parents do to their servants. For the next hour it was quiet. By this time both their clothes had dried and as said before Kaoru gave back Naruto's spare jacket. Naruto sealed it in his storage scroll planning to burn it later. It was 5 p.m. and the sun has yet to set. Naruto took this time to drag the princess back to his group. So he decided to tie the princess's hands with ninja wire. He threatened that if she struggled her hands would be cut off. She had no choice but to oblige and walked in front of him. Is this really necessary? Kaoru said. Naruto gave her a bored look. I don't know when you'll decide to run away. So this is just me being precautious. Besides, you should really see me when I'm in a perfect mood. Naruto said as he was looking around. Kaoru was confused when he said perfect mood, but let it go as she was watching both their surroundings as to her it seemed that her capturer didn't care about anything around their surroundings. This scared her and thought she was going to die. After a few minutes of walking, Kaoru stopped walking as she heard rustling in the bushes. Naruto stopped too. What is it? Naruto asked. What is it? What is it? There's something in the bush. What kind of a ninja are you to not realize that? It could be an enemy or it could be a. Kaoru was interrupted by Naruto. A dog, Naruto said as one of Kakashi's summons leapt out. Hey brat. Name's Pakun, not dog, the now known as Pakun said. Naruto nodded as he walked ahead and pulled on the wire lightly so not cut of the princess's hands by mistake. Yaki. Why is this girl with you? You're supposed to be looking for the prince. Pakun said. This girl is the Baka prince. Naruto said. Pakun was confused and Kaoru was fuming from anger from being called a Baka. She was about to say something back but she didn't get the chance as the two had started to ignore her. I see. Well, that is the most awkward thing in the world. Pakun said. Tell me about it. Naruto replied. Can you guys stop ignoring me? Kaoru yelled. Naruto looked at Kaoru with a blank face. The professionals are having a serious convo here. Naruto said as he went back to talking to Pakun. Kaoru got irritated at that. I'm sick of it. That attitude of his. The way he treats me. What the hell did I ever do to him? This bastard. Kaoru mentally raged. And with that last thought she ran at top speed and tackled Naruto from behind. She didn't care if the ninja wire cut her hand off. She didn't care at all. She just wants to beat the shit out of the blonde. Naruto was actually surprised by the princess's action. And he didn't have a plan for this situation as he was supposed to bring the princess back unscratched. So he had let go of the ninja wire so as to not accidentally pull on it and cut of her hands. But because of that he was facing a beating that he hasn't faced for a long time as Kaoru was using her tied up hand and swinging it on his face. Naruto had no choice but grunt in pain and endure it. I always knew you were more of a masochist than a sadist. Kyuubi said, snickering at Naruto's predicament. Asshole. Kyuubi, you're dead. Naruto mentally yelled at Kyuubi's comment. Not like it matters. Technically speaking, I was never considered part of the living. Kyuubi said in a matter-of-fact tone. Naruto had no choice as to face the beating until his savior came. Pakun had head-butted Kaoru in the back causing her to grovel on the ground in pain. Naruto got up and was looking at the pained princess. He sighed as he helped her up and checked if she had a concussion or not. After seeing that everything was okay he carried her bridal style and started to jump tree to tree. Pakun did the same. The princess was more or less blushing madly. Her face may have been hotter than the sun due to Naruto actions. What the hell? First he was a jackass and then he takes my beating and next he carries me. This bastard, he's so confusing. Kaoru thought as she started to blush and fall asleep slowly. Naruto noticed this and looked at her face. Aside from the money and her position in life, she is kinda cute, Naruto thought. Ah, is someone falling for the client? Kyuubi said in a tone that would be used to talk to a baby. Hell no, I still hate aristocrats. Besides, I can't fall in love with another, remember? Naruto said to Kyuubi. Maybe you can. If you become Hokage you can start your own H, but the connection between Kyuubi was cut. Perverted little fox, Naruto thought. Naruto was brought back to the land of the living when he felt the princess snuggle closer to him. Naruto gave a sigh as he followed Pakun back to the group. With Kakashi. Why me? One Kakashi Hatake thought as he was looking at the setting sun. If you are wondering why, well, Kakashi was having a reminiscing moment. Kakashi had first thought that having a team of genin would be fun, especially with the last Uchiha, and the son of his sensei. Aside from the Banshee, everything was interesting. He had found out that the last Uchiha was a female rather than a male. Which he was so glad. He didn't want to deal with another Fugaku, the same bastard that tried to take his best friend's eye from him. And then there was his sensei's son. He had assumed that he would have been like his father. Calm, cool, collective and not murderous. But he was just like his mother. Well then again, Kushina was bipolar. Naruto on the other hand was just plain out sadistic. Kakashi thought, thinking of all the time he had to stop Naruto killing Sakura. Even that one time when he had planned a team camping trip, he found out that Naruto could kill Sakura in his sleep. And he meant that literally. Naruto was sleepwalking to Sakura's tent and was about to cut her throat. And when Kakashi had prevented that, Naruto had placed a paper bomb on Sakura's large forehead. Kakashi did not know how fast Naruto really is. But he plans to find out when they get back to Konoha. And if you were wondering what happened after, well, Sakura is still here, right? Anyway, Kakashi at the moment couldn't take it anymore. He was about to lose his mind. The two female teammates have been causing so much drama that he wished that he had gone with Naruto and his summoned dogs to look for the prince. Anyway, the drama had begun with Sakura asking Sasuke out only for Sasuke to admit that she had liked Naruto. This was in her male form. And Sakura had fainted from thinking that the last Uchiha was homosexual. Well, Kakashi would too if he found out if his crush was more attractive to other girls. Well, actually I would ask if I could take video recording first. That's the least she could do for playing with my heart. Kakashi thought as he continued his book. Anyway, Sakura woke up after 30 minutes and she remembered what Satsuki had said. And from there began a whole debate as to why he shouldn't like Naruto. Sad to say, the last Uchiha had took out a kunai and was about to kill herself. The sun was almost gone when all his ninja dogs came back, all except Pakun, the leader of the group. Kakashi was worried, until he saw one of the dogs had a note that had, with the blonde Gaki. Kakashi's worries were gone, but laughed at the messy handwriting. It was still funny as to how Pakun told him he would try to write. Yeah, dog writing, even though he was a ninja dog. Pakun's reasoning was that he was a ninja and he needed something that would surprise his enemy. Well, at least he'll be smarter than the Inuzuka dogs now. Now where is Kakashi thought. Yo. Pakun came through the bushes with Naruto besides him. Naruto. Pakun. Good, you made it before nightfall. Did you find the prince? Kakashi asked. Nope. But we found a princess. Pakun said. What do you mean? Mutt. It was all me ga. Naruto began but yelled when Pakun bit his leg. OOWWWWW. Get him of me. He's trying to give rabies. I'm clean, you brat. Pakun muttered while he bit Naruto. Kakashi was laughing at Naruto and Pakun's act. He noticed that there was a girl in Naruto's arms. Already the mission started and you got a girlfriend already. I'm so proud of you. Kakashi said with fake tears. With the mention of Naruto and girlfriend in the same sentence, Satsuki had turned her head towards said boy and was glaring daggers at the girl. Not exactly, Naruto said, as he began to tell the whole story. Satsuki for her part was angry that Naruto had given his jacket to the slutty princess as she had put it, and was thinking of ways to kill the princess when she wakes up. After Naruto had finished his story, that was when Toru decided to come by. He was going to ask as to what the ninjas were talking about until he saw the girl in Naruto's arms. Heim, Toru yelled as he started to cry. Naruto tossed the princess to Toru. Toru had trouble catching her. He was too happy to care how Naruto was treating the princess. Kakashi on the other hand was getting irritated at all the missions that he was taking that had lack of important details. Toru-san, after you are done with your reunion we have to have a talk. Kakashi commanded. Toru looked at the one-eyed ninja and was scared as he saw a small figure behind said ninja appearing and glaring at the now scared crying man. Toru was too scared to talk, so he just nodded, and Kakashi went to Naruto to congratulate him and tell him what his next job is. Midnight. Naruto was sitting alone in front of the fireplace with white fire that he made. Satsuki, Sakura, Kakashi, Toru and the guards were at another fireplace that they had created. Naruto just wanted to be alone and think. Satsuki wanted to sit next to him, but Naruto had told her he needed to think and walked away. As for thinking, he was thinking about what Toru had told Kakashi. About the Baka princess's family and how they had forced her to play as a guy. Well, not exactly. She was already a tomboy, so the role was easy to play. Anyway, how the family that was offering their daughter for marriage was the Katsuragi family. Naruto gripped his hands and balled them to a fist. The moment Naruto heard that name, he was pissed. Those bastards. Why do I have to see them again? Naruto thought angrily, thinking about the past. You see, Naruto and the Katsuragi family have a history. The Katsuragi family were the ones that had owned the orphanage that he had lived in. Contrary to what civilians say, that they are one of the nicest family in the elemental nations and that they give a large donation to almost anyone they ask, they do the opposite. Naruto knew because the orphanage he was living in was taken down because of them. Their excuse was that they needed to make a building for the old people that have been traumatized by war or by the Kyuubi attack. And because of that, the nice people that he had met were separated. Some being adopted by jackass civilians that told them to stay away from him, or some that have been living in the streets even up to this, and in most lucky cases they have died. But Naruto didn't care. All he wanted to do was look for the caretaker of the orphanage, as she was the first person to see good in Naruto. She knew Naruto had the Kyuubi, but she didn't care. But after the demolition she disappeared. Naruto thought she was in Anbu or something when he was a little kid, but that's just stupid, right? Claire. Naruto thought, reminiscing. He was broken out of his thoughts when he felt someone sit next to him. He turned and saw that it was the Baka princess. He gave her a strange look and she saw it. What? I just thought you may be lonely, she said. Naruto gave an annoyed look and went back to looking at the campfire. The atmosphere was awkward for Kaoru. She wanted to say something, but Naruto was giving her the, I think you're an idiot face. Every time she saw his face, which only made her blood boil. But at the same time she felt like someone wanted to mutilate her. And Satsuki giving her the glare from a distance. Naruto had just about enough of the weird silence and decided to talk. What do you want, Baka princess? Trying to seduce me so you can get out of your arranged marriage? Naruto said jokingly. Kaoru went wide-eyed at that. Naruto saw this and was snickering. Next she's gonna try to stab me with a hidden blade. But I'll dodge as she's too obvious. Naruto thought. But the knife never came. Naruto waited for a few more seconds, but nothing. When he looked at the princess he saw that she was red as a tomato. Seriously? Naruto said, confused as hell for the first time in his life. Damn, Lucky Fox. You have my total support on this one. But let me give you some advice. Pretend to be raped and then when the time comes take control. Kyuubi said with a lace of perverseness in its voice. Oh, think about that. Naruto replied to Kyuubi, and Kyuubi was surprised this time. What the fuck? The kid agreeing to one of my advice. Hashirama must have come back to life. Oh god, the world's gonna end. Kyuubi thought. Are you alright in the head, Bakahime? I think we need some medical attention here. Naruto yelled. Kakashi and the rest came to where Naruto was. What is it, Naruto? Kakashi asked lazily. Yeah, Baka. Sakura said. The rest were quiet while Satsuki looked like she wanted to jump the princess. Kakashi-sensei. The Bakahime wants to rape me. Naruto said. Kakashi couldn't keep a straight face after that. Naruto, you really are the innocent type, huh? Well, about that. It's not rape if I say so. We have a new mission, Naruto. Toru-san here has filled me in some new information. You and the princess will have to seem like a couple, so the Katsuragi family do not get any more powerful. Kakashi said. Say what? Naruto yelled. Well, congrats, Naruto. Most genin lose it after they reach Chunin. But you get to lose it almost 2 months after you graduate from the academy. Kakashi said, smiling. What the fuck is going on here? Naruto asked himself before being punched by Sakura and Satsuki.